Okay, so the last thing I want to show you involves reflection probes, but also one more optional thing you can do if inside of our light settings, if you want the sun source, um, you can create a dynamic time of day just by dragging your directional light, your primary light, into the sun source. You'll see that as you change, no, not that. As you change the direction, you see how it's changing the skybox as well. That's one thing you can do. So if you like that, then cool. If not, you don't have to use it. But I'm gonna make this a little. There we go. I think I like that better. And because I was in play mode, nothing's saved, of course. So I'm gonna do that. Yeah, kind of like that. Maybe a nighttime, right before nighttime. Okay, so right, and I did not. There we go. Okay. Play with that a little bit. All right, so the last thing I want to go over is reflection probes. Now, normally, if we're trying to reflect something, let's say inside of a room, we need to fake the reflection. We don't have real-time reflections quite yet inside of game engines. We're getting there, and there's some stuff coming out in regards to that. But if we want to fake our reflection, we can capture what's inside of this room and use that as our reflection. So you could imagine if we had a chrome statue here, we would want it to reflect in general the space in here instead of the open outdoor area. Right now it doesn't know what to reflect, so it's just going to default to reflecting the skybox. So in order to do this, we're going to use reflection probes. If I go to game object, it's lighting and reflection probe, you'll get this box that you can control. If I go to my inspector, you can actually define a capture of what I want to reflect in this area. So if I position this box inside of this room and I expand this, so if you go to the inspector where it says reflection probe, you click this little edit bounding volume button. And you go back over here, you'll see there are these little dots that you can expand. And I'm just going to do this. And you can be really rough with these if you want. You just need it to, in general, capture an area because ultimately you're still faking it. But the more you align with the space, the better results you're going to get. I tend to make a reflection probe for every major room. So you might think this, I'm going to duplicate this over here like this. Pull that a little bit out. I'm going to hit the edit bounds volume again. Pull that out. Okay. I'm going to make one more. I'm going to select these so that I can see them. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. So this last one, I'm just going to pull this way. And if they're overlapping too, that's also fine. I mean, it's going to blend in between all of your probes, but you do want to make sure that you have some sort of coverage so that when we're outside, we're in general reflecting this kind of area. When we're in general reflecting this kind of area. And you can actually see what's happening if you click the little probe right here, and you look at the bottom right preview. This is what it's going to use as its template for the image it's going to reflect. So if we did have really shiny walls, right now everything's default, so it doesn't really matter. But if we did have very shiny walls and we had some sort of reflection, we would want that to represent the room. So just another thing to add to your level. And if we hit play, so far we kind of have a thing going. Right, it's nothing fancy, but we're just using simple white materials as well for our space. And we can start to get an idea of the lighting in some of these areas. We can start to create some mood. We can use lighting to direct the player. We can start to establish our setting. And you could imagine that if we took a snapshot of this and we brought an environment artist in, we could say, oh, well, there's a column over here, and there's some lava over here, and there's some torches over here, and this is a darker area, and we want to do, all this. And you know what? While I'm at it, this last thing that I want to show you, if you go to your this material that we made. We should also be baking our emissives as well, and I think it's because so our kill volume is not set as static. It doesn't move, so if we set it as static, it will actually bake our emissive material, or it should. Let's find out. There we go. You can see some red over here. And if this was a lava pool, it would start to give off this light, which is pretty cool. Right. So if you do have emissive materials, you could actually define that, as we did earlier in the assignment. As long as you give it an emission color and you tell it, you could either do baked or real time, but you could potentially bake this on the geometry around it, which is pretty nice. So with that, I mean, this is everything you need to know for a basic light setup. Anything past is going to be beyond a white box or even a decoration pass. So if you want to know more about that, you can always look up tutorials, but you can at least establish your setting with this much.